Hi Jeana, this is your Pinterest Power Up After video. I wanted to go over some of the things that I did to optimize your account and the boards and just some future ideas and tips that you can put into place for maintenance. So to start, I know we talked about having multiple boards for your products. I did actually put all of them from your website on one board and then pin those to another board. That just the rings, I pinned all the rings to another board for entitled it Alternative Engagement Rings. And the biggest reason I did that is because we were pulling in these wedding boards and trying to appeal to those brides that want alternative jewelry for their wedding. And it just helps with the SEO a little bit to be able to title it and optimize it for that specific market or that specific target customer, rather than just having it all on one board. Having it all on one board is nice, but anytime you can work it into, you have enough pins to work into another board that you can optimize a little bit further for another target customer or audience or market or whatever, is good for your SEO. So also whenever you can work these into other boards, with your jewelry, it was a little bit difficult to work your jewelry into all the boards because you don't want to go pinning other people's jewelry, and you don't want to, you have a very specific style, so you don't have a broad range of styles, so it's hard to put your jewelry on a broad range of boards because we can't do different style boards necessarily where I would be able to put certain styles of jewelry on different boards. But what I was able to do was take some of these rings and I put them like in this Pantone 2016 wedding ideas, because you have like some rose quartz rings and some blue lace something type rings, and with the Pantone 2016 colors being the rose quartz and serenity, that fit very nicely in that theme. I also took some of the rings and put them in the boho chic style, or if I didn't, I will put a couple in there, but I think I did. But that would be another place that you could put accessories, your jewelry and stuff would be on this board. So whenever you're adding a new product, I recommend that you pin it to this business board, this Rustic Jewelry by the Fox and Stone. Then you want to repin from this board to, if it's a ring, put it on this alternative engagement ring board if it fits in the 2016 colors, because weddings are going to be going on all year. It's 2016 all year. If it fits in there, put it in there. And then also if it fits, I would put it on your boho chic style. Now, that said, I don't like clustering products all together, so do try to spread them out a little bit. If you do 2 or 3 in a row, that's fine, but don't put like a whole block of 15 or 10, 15 products. Do try to like space them out with other types of content pins. Okay, so that said, what we've done here is we've created, I created a base of a lot of different types of wedding boards to go with the rings and the jewelry and things like that. Then I sort of naturally flowed that into style outside of weddings. So we have the boho chic style, barefoot sandals, and home decor, and then a home decor and dream catchers, all that kind of for that boho chic style, rustic style type boards, whether that's personal style or home style or anything like that. Then I also put down here your crystal healing, because I noticed you had a board for crystal info and lore and stuff like that. I just renamed it crystal healing. And then we also put in some other keywords in here and the descriptions. And all of your boards descriptions should have the board title in a different, renamed in a different way or worked into a sentence, and then also variations of that title, meaning like what type of content is specifically on that board. So for your crystal healing board, I'd put crystal info for crystals and their uses, things that people would search when they're looking for information on Pinterest. So, and then sort of as a companion to crystal healing, we did chakra and Reiki. And then because this is a whole natural sort of holistic type thing, we did natural beauty recipes, because that's really big on Pinterest, so that should bring you some traffic. Again, I can't pin your jewelry to that, but the whole point of supplementary boards is to attract followers and attract people with content that supplements and complements your business. So it still fits within the very natural boho-y vibe that we're trying to attract. Along that line, we did these 3 boards are a little bit more far-fetched than these boards up here. They're not directly related to your product, but they're related to people that might like your product, so that they're at the bottom. So these 3 boards right here, like the Natural Beauty Recipes, the Wanderlust, and the Quotes, are all geared towards those type of people, but they're a little more removed than, say, like the Wedding Inspiration and the Alternative Engagement Rings that can actually directly be tied to your product. So just to show you also the descriptions, like I said, we want to rename, put barefoot sandals on here. I put beautiful barefoot sandals, boho anklets, beaded sandals for the barefoot bride, beach bride, or just as a fun boho summer accessory. So you want to try to make it into a sentence, but fit 2 to 5 keywords, phrases within that sentence. Even if it's a list and you just put sort of like and more, or for, like I said, for the boho bride, that makes it into a sentence, and it works that way. It's a little bit better than just leaving, 3 keywords in a sentence that don't have sort of an end on that. I also made all your board covers very cohesive. If you can see that I tried to keep it with your gray. You have a gray and almost like a rose quartz. I think it might even be rose quartz for your branding colors. So I tried to stick with that as far as your board covers. We stayed with the very neutral grays and whites and the very light, the dusty roses and things like that as far as the board covers, so they all sort of flow together. You're not having a stark change from dark to light, or bright colors and light colors and pastels all mixed together. You want it all very nice and cohesive and all very nice, and it flows well together. Okay, so moving forward, I do have a couple, just one board down here that was left over as far as destination weddings. What I usually do for moving forward whenever I create new boards, and this is what I did when I created all these boards, was you create them as a secret board, and then you can pin to your heart's content on that board, and as long as you have 25 pins, you can toggle it public. Once you get to that 25 pins, toggle it public, and then you can continue to add for maintenance later on. I do recommend following the templates for the titles. Like I said, make sure they're searchable phrases. If you're not sure, you can go up here and search. Like if I put in destination weddings, there it is. It pops up right there. And also destination wedding locations. These things that pop up right here are what you want to use for board titles and keyword phrases. So get 25 pins at least on a board before you toggle it public. I also try to create secret boards, and when I create them, I don't really worry about the titles until I toggle it public. So I might just get an idea out of my head, like, like destination weddings might not have been a good title. I might have needed to change that to something else. But just get an idea out of your head and then go back and optimize it for the search before you toggle it public. Make your board cover consistent with the brand look and feel that we have going on up here. And then after that, we want to try to pin at least 10 pins a day at very minimum. The more you pin, the more you're going to show up in your followers' feeds and in the search content and things like that. But you don't want to, what I call, pin dump on your followers. So you don't want to go in and pin 10 pins all in the morning. You kind of want to spread that out throughout the day. So you can do like 3 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, 3 at night, as long as you're showing up throughout the day. I do recommend using a Pinterest scheduler if you can. I personally use Buffer. It's not free. It's $12 a month. There is also Tailwind, which is the official partner of Pinterest, and you can schedule through them, and I think they provide some analytics and things like that. It's also not free, but it is. Those are both good tools to use for Pinterest scheduling. If you do at least 10 pins a day, I like to tell people to follow the 80-20 rule. So 1 to 2 of those pins, I know 1 would technically be 10%, but 1 to 2 of your pins that you pin per day should be a original content pin of yours. So what do I mean by original content pin? It can be a blog post if you blog and create graphics for your blog post about, I know you're talking about doing crystals of the month and things like that. If you make that into a blog post, or you're doing it in your emails, if you make a graphic for that, you can actually pin that to like your crystal healing board, or you could have another board for crystal info or blog posts. It could be that. It could be a repin of one of the products that you already have pinned on here. So like if you repinned a product from your rustic jewelry board to like your boho chic style board, that would count. If you have a new product that you're putting up and you create a pin for it, and you or you pin it from your website directly onto your brand board, that counts. Basically what you want to do is to have something of yours showing up in your followers' notifications and the Pinterest feed every day. So like I said, at least 10 pins. I recommend that number just because it's sustainable. It's easy to get a couple pins throughout the day to get that 10. Other experts recommend 25 to 30. Like I said, the more you pin every day, the more exposure you're going to get, the faster it'll grow. But at minimum, if you're going to do anything, just do 10. I mean, if you can't do 30 because everybody's busy, it's just more sustainable. It's better to do fewer every day than it is to do 30 one day, none the next day, 30 the next day, and be very inconsistent. You want to be consistent over time. That's the way you're going to grow. And make sure that you're including pins. Now, another thing that you can do for original content is different views of the same product. So like for instance, these pins right here, I know or this picture right here where you have the 3 rose quartz rings, I know you have pictures with them individually modeled on a finger. You can actually repin this product, but a different image, to the same board, to your business boards, to different boards, whatever, and that counts as well. So it's different images that link to the same product. That works for original content as well. So even if you don't have new products all the time, you can reuse old pins, you can reuse different variations. It's very, very common practice with businesses on Pinterest to have multiple pin variations of the same product that goes back to the same link. All right, as far as descriptions, I copied the first parts of your pins of your descriptions from your website and just pasted it in here. You have 500 characters, so you can copy anything like the first paragraph or the second paragraph or whatever that just sort of talks about the pin. I noticed that you do naturally have some keywords in your descriptions, and that's fine. So I didn't go in and really change a whole bunch of them. If you didn't have a description, a nice long description for your thing, because of time constraints, I didn't change them, but it should still pop up like the short description that you have. One problem I did notice with your Wix account, and I can't change this because it's a Wix Pinterest connection account. That's something you might have to Google. That's something you might have to address with Wix. It has to do with rich pins and the way Pinterest pulls information from your website. So I noticed that on some of your pins, it tells me that like all these pins are solid gold artisan thin hammer stacking rings. Well, it's obviously not. So that might hurt your optimization slightly, but it shouldn't hurt it too much, because most people aren't. This is an Etsy type or a sell e-commerce website type title keywords, and most people aren't going to go in here and type solid gold artisan thin hammered stacking rings and search for that specifically. They're going to be searching for rustic jewelry, alternative wedding bands, alternative engagement rings, moonstone rings, and you have those keywords in your description and in the board description. So I'm not terribly worried about it, but it just does look a little odd, and that might be something that you need to troubleshoot with your website. Like I said, I can't fix that because it's pulled in automatically. It's not something that I put into the pin. Okay. I didn't touch group boards because of time constraints. Usually when I'm building a Pinterest from scratch, the focus is to get the baseline, the 12 to 18 boards up, get everything optimized, get people attracted to your account. Group boards aren't nearly as important as they used to be because of the Pinterest Smart Feed. So Pinterest Smart Feed shows pins to people based on their pinning habits. So if somebody is pinning things that are related to the types of things that you pin, then your pins can show up to them, even if they're not a follower of yours. What group boards do is when you pin to a group board, it shows up to all the followers of all the people who pin to that group board. So it's a nice way to get exposure, but I don't recommend having any more than 5. If you're going to have any, have 2 or 3, no more than 5. You also want to make sure these are good group boards that you belong to. So I'm not knocking Flourish. I think that Flourish is great, and if you want to stay on this Flourish board, that's fine. And honestly, it doesn't look that bad anymore. I noticed before some of the Flourish boards don't have a lot of repins. One repin is still pretty low, but some of these are getting pins up here now, like 5, 16, 58, 70, and these numbers might change with the Pinterest changes where they're actually showing all of your repins sort of like on a summary pin. Whereas before you couldn't see the repins of your followers. So like if they pinned something from you and then somebody pinned it from them, you wouldn't see that, third hand repinned, where you will be starting to see that now. So at first glance, some of these group boards don't look very engaged. People just kind of dump pins on them and then walk away, and they never come back and really check out what's on there. So I use pingroupie.com to find boards, and I do have a video on that I will send to you, as well as the video on Buffer. I use that to find good group boards. The video will explain everything, but if you have questions, please just ask me. You want boards that show repins and favorites on the pins, within the first few scrolls, because that means that people are actually sharing things from that board. If you're just putting things on a board that nobody's sharing it from, it's a waste of your time. And not only that, but having a lot of different group boards really breaks up your look and feel, because you can't change these board covers, you can't optimize the titles, you're beholden to whatever that person decided to do with it, that created it. So, if you want to look into having a couple more, I would recommend getting some that are more specific to like boho style, rustic style, wedding jewelry alternatives, those types of boards, rather than just catch-all handmade Etsy type boards, because those boards tend to be a dump and run. But other boards that are more specific to a specific topic tend to do better. So you can find all that on Pin Groupie. Like I said, I'll send you the video. All right, I think that's it. I hope you're happy and pleased with what I've done. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any feedback for me, you can leave that anywhere on Facebook, because that's where I roam. Or if you want to post it directly to my Facebook page, it's www.facebook.com/Blue Fairy Studios. It's been a pleasure working with you, Jeana. Bye.